Hey guys, we are back some more New Jersey Devils franchise mode, and in this one, we have quite a bit of changes to make before we continue on with the simulation. As if we take a look here, our AHL team, the Binghamton Devils, are just absolutely terrible so far. 4-15-3 is their record at the moment. That's not going to work. That's definitely not going to do, because I want guys like Jesper Bohlquist to get as much playoff experience as possible before making it up to the NHL, which he may actually make that jump next year. And the way the AHL team's going right now, that definitely is not happening. And Riley Walsh is in there because we need to change something up with the defensive core. And I also just wanted to get Riley Walsh some time because he's obviously got that medium top four. And take a look here, Matt Tennyson adding yet another +3 to our second defensive pair with Dakota Mermis. So I figured line chemistry does play a very big part, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. But as we take a look at our forward lines here, I also managed to get a +3 on the first line with Eric Tangrady, Ben Street, and Brandon Gignac, and then every other line is +1. So hopefully that contributes to some more successes down here in the AHL. And Sen and Lack are in that. I'm going to leave Lack in there for right now. Better overall. Although he actually has the worst save percentage than Sen. So I guess we'll get Sen back in there. And the next thing that we're going to do to help out our AHL team is fire one of our coaches. And that would be Jesper Ekholm. Because if we take a look at his attributes, he really doesn't have too many good attributes at all besides his power play. Everything else, including his teaching, is either a C- or below, and I'm not going to chance that D for teaching, possibly decreasing the potential of someone like Riley Walsh, who has a medium top four, because his teaching specialty is defense, right? There's a pretty good chance that Riley Walsh might actually drop, just because of Jesper Ekholm, so we are going to be firing him right away. And now we need a new AHL assistant coach. So as we sort by AHL assistant coach, so we obviously want someone who is capable of teaching defensemen, and all these guys are teaching goalies here. Here's a generalist in Siodin. What does he have for teaching? He has a C. Well, I guess that's better than what Ekholm had. And every other coach that has a higher than a C is a goalie coach, and that's not going to help us in this situation. So Shodin is definitely a candidate, but let's take a look at associate coaches that maybe we could offer the role of assistant coaches. So there's this guy with a B for teaching who's a defenseman coach, Thorson. He's got some good attributes there for a defensive coach. Now the question is, would he accept the role of assistant coach? So we're going to interview him. I'm happy that you have chosen to give me this opportunity to chat with you. Thanks for making some time for me. I'm sure you're busy. Contract, let's talk about that. Preference. How much SAR are you looking for? What is that white line there? That is annoying. 447,000 is the rate going for a coach like myself. Preference for contract duration would be 3 years. Oh, that is annoying, that white line there. So let's see his importance for salary and length. He's flexible when it comes to salary. Okay. What about duration? The length is somewhat important to him. However, he knows that doing a good job will result in more contracts down the line. Okay. Let's talk about the organization. He likes an underdog story, and he'd like to coach a team that is hopeful for making the playoffs. Well, we are hiring him for an AHL squad that has been struggling, so maybe that this just might be the perfect fit. It's the importance of preference. It is very important to him that he is coaching a team that meets his expected team status. Petri Thorson, he looks like he might actually accept based on what we see here. He's a defenseman teacher, which is what we need, what we're trying to replace. The only thing that I'm worried about is the AHL associate coach that he might not accept as an assistant coach, but we'll try for it anyway. So he said he was flexible with the salary, but we'll give him a little more just because we're not offering him the role that he wants. And as far as years go, yeah, sure, 3 years. We'll see if he takes that. He'll get back to us in a few days. All right, so with all that out of the way, I believe We're done with the AHL for right now. And next thing to do, we need to name a captain, because we never named a captain at the start of the season. And Andy Green, obviously being set down to the AHL at first, got the captaincy removed from him. So we're just going to roll with it here, because we need to make this man, Taylor Hall, the captain. This is his team, and he's signed long-term now, so we don't have to worry about him leaving. He deserves the captaincy 100%. Zajac and Paul Mary will be the alternates. Now, the next thing that we need to go over is that I switched Pavel Zacha to a center and Blake Coleman to a left winger, as that is normally the positions that they play in real life for the Devils. And also, Pavel Zacha has an 82 for faceoffs compared to Blake Coleman's 75. So I thought we'd make use of the 82 that Zacha has. And also, we switched around the lines in the NHL a little bit. I believe that the top six is untouched. Well, actually, no. Bratt moved down to the third line, and Simmons is now on the second line left wing, because the line of Bratt, Zacha, and Wood actually produces a +3 overall. Now, Zacha doesn't exactly have the greatest scheme fit for the third line, but what he does do is he adds that +3 to the third line. So if we take a look, send him down to the fourth line where he fits the line perfectly, then both lines are only a +1. Now, if we try him on the second line, that third line goes down to a 0, with Hughes potentially moving down to the third line, and I don't want that, and that doesn't add anything to the second line either. So we're going to try Bratt, Zacha, and Wood on that third line. We're getting John Hayden in there for a little bit, because just wanted to get him some time. We replaced him with Joey Anderson for the time being, and we'll see how all these lines do. And as for defense, nothing changed, I don't believe. And nothing much changed on the power play or penalty kill either, because the penalty kill and the power play, honestly, the special teams have been doing very well. I checked out the team stats at the end of the recording. I probably should have done it actually during the recording, but I checked it out, and it turns out that our power play and penalty kill are actually doing pretty well for themselves. As we take a look at power play percentage, we are 4th in division with a 23.1. All these other teams up here with over a 30. That is absolutely ridiculous. They'll probably come back down to earth, but our penalty kill is at an 88.3 on only 60 shorthanded opportunities. So we're pretty disciplined, and even when we do take penalties, we are able to kill them off. So I think we can advance with these lines. I would say at least another month, just to see especially how that third line works out with a +3 for line chemistry. Now, getting back to what I was saying earlier about having that +3 for line chemistry with not only with Bratt, Zacha, and Wood, but in the AHL with Tangradi, Street, and Gignac, and then as well with Murmis and Tennyson. I cannot stress this enough. Prioritize line chemistry as much as you can. And the reason I say this, last night I was messing around in a personal GM mode that I had started, an expansion team, the Quebec Nordiques, and obviously I went through the expansion draft and drafted my team based off of what the head coach style was. And the first line for that team that I had drafted was Mike Hoffman, Eric Stahl, and Wayne Simmons. Now, under the coach that I had, that line was a +5 line chemistry. And Hoffman was an 85, Stahl 85, Simmons 82. And by the end of the season, not one of them got injured. So that was great. That was a good measurement for how effective +5 line chemistry really is. And let me tell you, that line nearly carried the Quebec Nordiques into the playoffs in year number 1. Hoffman and Stahl had nearly 100 points each. Yeah. That's how effective +5 line chemistry can be. So you really, really want to prioritize line chemistry as much as you can. So that's what we're going for right here, especially with Bratt, Zacha, and Wood. I feel like this third line could have the potential to be very, very good. And as for our goaltender situation, we're just going to have to try to ride with Blackwood and Schneider at the moment, because there's not really much we can do. I kind of want to draft a goaltender. I don't want to have to go out and trade for one, because that's just going to be way too much value, and that's more value than what we have right now. So we're going to just go ahead in this season. We're going to trust Blackwood and Schneider that they're capable of bouncing back, especially with more line chemistry now involved, especially on the second and third line. Remember, we had a 0 for line chemistry on those 2 lines before. Now there is a +1 of the second line and a +3 for the third line. So we'll see how that does. So now we'll go ahead 2 weeks. And the reason I say 2 weeks is because I like to go into the scouting screen after 2 weeks because I notice that's what's the most effective. That is the routine that we're going to do every time now, at least while it is effective for us. And it appears Petri Thorson, the assistant coach that we wanted to get for the AHL, doesn't feel like the size of our team's market is what he's looking for, so he will decline. Okay, so market was apparently very important for him, and we didn't realize that because we didn't ask him that in the interview. All right, interesting. So we're gonna have to obviously try to find a new candidate for that position. Actually, you know what? What if we just offer him more money? Let's say we give him $512,000 salary along with the AHL assistant coach role. Will he accept that? I realize that's probably quite a bit of money for an AHL coach, especially for an assistant coach in the AHL, but, you know, he has that B for teaching, and we really need that for someone like Riley Walsh. So now we'll go ahead past Chicago and Nashville, and we'll see what Thorson thinks of that contract this time, and yep, money talks. Money talks. That's all I can say about that. Chicago and Nashville coming up here. We have 2 losses against them. That is unfortunate. We'll go another week up to the 15th, and then we'll go into the draft class to scout some more prospects. So Dallas, that will be a 3-2 win. Colorado, we have a 5-2 win and a 6-3 win against Arizona. Okay, pretty good week. Nikita Gusev has 43 points at the moment. That is insanity. And we are going to check out the draft class. There is a franchise potential in the draft this year. Someone who is going before Lafreniere. Tuomas Ranta, that medium franchise winger. It appears our scouts have not been doing too much. So we're going to scout all the scout recommendations, presuming they're not being scouted. So Antonio Stranges has not been scouted quite yet. So we will send out our scout in that region. And now Kirill Zhamnov, offensive defenseman. He's apparently NHL ready. So I definitely want to get this guy scouted. Zuzan, scout for potential and comparison. And DeAndre Graves, he's NHL ETA, is a 2 years medium elite 2-bar potential. Now we do not have a second or a third round pick this year due to trades that Ray Shero has made in real life. So we're going to have to skip all the way down to here to 107, 108, and 109 for our next scout recommendations. Jake Neighbors. We don't have any report on him yet, but he has 5 goals and 6 assists in 29 games as a left winger. Don't know if I like that. 8 goals, 6 assists, and 29 games for Harabik as a center. And we have more scout recommendations over here. Pierce, Pilo, and Tulio. We actually don't even have any scouts in the region that Pilo is in, Allsvenskan. So we're going to have to skip right down to Tulio here. And we'll go 2 more weeks. We'll go to the end of the month. And we'll see what happens not only with New Jersey, but with Binghamton as well. That is going to be very interesting with all the new coaching hires. And, well, not all the new coaching hires. There's just one new coaching hire. So we are currently 19, 14, and 6. Binghamton is 8, 22, and 3. It's pretty safe to say at this point that Binghamton is not making the playoffs. But the good news is that we are inching closer towards the playoffs in the NHL. We are now 2 points behind the Penguins, who are in the wild card. So we're much closer than we were before, for sure. As we take a look at the AHL, yeah, there's just there's no chance the Binghamton Devils are making it. But we can at least check out how our prospects in Boqvist and McLeod and Riley Walsh are doing. So Boqvist has 8 goals and 15 assists. I don't know if he's gone up much, if at all, but McLeod is now at a 71 overall, 7 goals and 2 assists. And Riley Walsh He's played 11 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. And let's check on our goaltenders, Lack and Sen. Yeah, the goaltending in general with this organization just really isn't great. So good news, Blackwood is up to an 82, but still at that 893 save percentage. Schneider back up to a 911. Okay, so we're making a little bit of progress goaltending wise, but still not obviously good. Bratt with 22 points. Zaka with 12 points, and Wood with 16. I'm really interested to see how that third line finishes off the season. Simmons with 11, Hughes with 24, and Palmieri with 30. Now, the first line, this will be interesting. Taylor Hall, over a point per game with 44 points in 39 games. Nico Hischier with 35 in 39, and Nikita Gusev with 46 in 39 games. So I'm liking the way that we're trending halfway through the season. Our locker room chemistry is getting up there a little bit. We, of course, had a little bit of a losing streak earlier, but we capped off the month with a win against Boston. So let's go 2 more weeks. I'm really liking the way that Zhamnov looks. He's got the A minus, B. Zhamnov, even though he's only 5'8", Zhamnov could be pretty good. He's got that top 4 defenseman. He plays like PK Subban, who obviously is someone who we have on our roster. So maybe Zhamnov, someone we look to pick up in the draft this year. So we're going another 2 weeks here, and Will Butcher injured with a mild concussion until January 17th. I believe that is 2 weeks away. So we're going to have to mess with our defensive lines a little bit, and our defensive injuries have just been all over the place this year, unfortunately. So we try to find that +1. There it is with Severson and Subban. Vatanen, and I'm going to say, yeah, Mueller, and then Green and Carrick. At least we retained all the +1s on defense. Okay. I see you, Cory. Cory Schneider is up to an 83 overall now because of his recent play, I would assume. And it's looking up. It is looking up for goaltenders. Blackwood's now at a 900 in 19 games played. So it appears Blackwood and Schneider are splitting quite a bit of time. Schneider with 24 games played, Blackwood with 19. That's probably how it will be, honestly, in the real NHL this year. They'll probably split more games than not. Jesper Boquist is fully healed. I don't remember ever taking him out of the lineup, so we'll just continue here. And we had a loss against the Islanders there, but a win against the Rangers. We are currently 22-16-6, and an unfortunate loss. 2 unfortunate losses against the Capitals and the Lightning, but then you finish off the simulation with a 3-0 win over Toronto. We are currently 23-17-6. Binghamton is definitely not making the playoffs at this point. 9-25-3. That is unfortunate. So it appears we might need some new goaltenders for the AHL squad next year. But the good news is that we are very, very close to a playoff spot. Oh man, it's so close. The race is so close in the Metropolitan. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's exactly like the way it was in real life last year. How are the Rangers at 42 points with all those acquisitions they made last year? What's their roster looking like? I know I boosted Zibanejad up to like an 88. So they must not have a whole lot of chemistry in their lineup. I mean, yeah, they have a pretty solid lineup. Panarin, Zibanejad, Trouba, Shea. Yeah, it must be and Lundqvist is an 88, Shesterkin is an 82. It must be the chemistry that's destroying them a little bit there. The Flyers with 60 points, Rangers with 42, but then as we take a look at in between, 2 through 7 is separated by 2 points. Wow. The Metro is super tight this year, as it usually is. Really have to get as many wins as possible, especially against Metro teams such as the Capitals and the Blue Jackets, who we have coming up next. Huge games against the Capitals and the Blue Jackets. And that's also leading up to the All-Star break. And it appears once again, the All-Star game not in NHL 20. I don't know what I expected at this point, but, you know, I'm one of the few people who actually likes playing the All-Star game. Going ahead 2 weeks now. We're going to see what happens in these 3 games against Washington and Columbus and Ottawa. 2 very important games, and good. Will Butcher is back just in time for these 2 very important games. So Severson will get back down there with Vatanen, and Who do we take out? Do we take out Mueller or Carrick or Green? I'm going to take out... You know what? Mueller's got that high top 6. I'll take out Carrick for right now. And Jesper Boquist injured with a mild concussion until January 26th. You really hate to see it. We're going to put... For right now, we'll put Kevin Rooney in his spot. Let's see how that first line's doing in the AHL. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this might be another reason why the AHL team is struggling, because the first line not acting like a first line right now. Yikes. What about Mervis and Tennyson? I'm curious about them. Alright, so not much as of yet, but I would guess they have, you know, they're helping out the simulation a little bit down there. So a 9-3 loss against Washington, but then a 4-1 win against Columbus. So we're hanging in there with basically the entire Metropolitan Division. It's going to be such a close race. Oh, here we go. Trade alert to Carolina. Nicholas Bodwin, the 73 overall, a 4th, and Gilbert, the 70 overall from Chicago. And then to Chicago will be Eric Howlett, the 82 overall, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk, the 80 overall. So we're going to start seeing some more trades here as we get closer to the trade deadline, obviously. And we'll get Jesper Boquist back in the AHL lineup. Kevin Rooney, come on out. The Vancouver Canucks had fired head coach Evan Rivera. Okay, so there's your first coach firing of the GM mode. And we lose to Ottawa 4-3. Because, of course, we do. So the Metropolitan is starting to fluctuate a little bit more in points. The Islanders are starting to pull away a little bit. The same for the Capitals. We're still right there. So we still have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs, but we absolutely need to start winning some games here. Gusev with 30 goals so far on the season. He is insanity this season. We really need to try to get something going here. Simmons, clearly not a fit for the top 6. 9 goals and 8 assists. Hughes with 13 goals and 19 assists, 32 points in 49 games. He's done fine in his first season. Kyle Palmieri with 37 points, I believe that is. Yes, indeed. So Palmieri and Hughes, they've done fine. But Simmons obviously doesn't really fit too well on that second line. The only reason he's on the second line is because Bratt appears to have more chemistry with Zacha and Wood. And it looks like Zacha has actually gone up overall, 81 now. Bratt is at 31 points in 49 games. He's done well. Miles Wood with 24 points. And then Zacha with 18. And the fourth line, Blake Coleman with 13 points. Travis Zajac with 10. And Hayden with 3 in 24 games. We're going to get Hayden out of there. We're going to put Anderson back in because he's the younger guy. He still has some potential on him. As for the defense, Butcher with 16 points in 43 games. Subban with 36 points, 37 points actually. He has been insane so far this season offensively. Vatanen with 20 points in 40 games. Severson with 17. Green with 8. And Mueller with 10. And a goal, Schneider with a 902. Blackwood with 896. So they're starting to take some steps back again, unfortunately. Yeah, not looking too good at the moment. But we do have some good things going for us, such as the special teams as of when we last checked it anyway, so we're going to definitely check that again to make sure that they are staying consistent. So goals for per game, we are at a 3.43, so it's definitely not goals for that we are struggling with. We appear to be one of the best goal scoring teams in the league right now, and I guess part of that is because of Nikita Gusev, but unfortunately our goals against per game is not pretty at a 3.16. But as we take a look at the entire league, I'm going to see, has scoring gone up in the league this year? Scoring must be going up. Yeah, scoring's going up for sure. The best team goals against per game wise right now is Nashville at a 2.48, and then it immediately after the top 5 drops down to 2.73. Yeah, I would guess that scoring looks like it's going up this year. And power play, Edmonton at a 9%. Wow. And as we take a look at the Metro for power play, we're currently at a 21.3. And wow, Pittsburgh and Philly have stayed above a 30 for that amount of time. And penalty kill, we're starting to take a little bit of a nosedive as well. We were at an 88% before. Now we're at an 84.5. So we're going to see if we can make some changes to the penalty kill. Although, the thing is, the penalty kill lines, from what I remember, had really good chemistry. Especially that first line. Yeah, Zajac and Wood, and then Subban and Severson. They had a +3 for line chemistry, and then Coleman, Simmons, Green, and Butcher have a +1. I did actually get Coleman on the power play earlier, off screen, but I don't know how much he's actually helping out the power play. I just wanted to give him some more time since he's on the 4th line as an 82 overall, but it doesn't look like he's helping out much there. He has 3 points on the power play. Yeah, I think we're going to get Wayne Simmons back on the power play. As far as the penalty kill goes, I'm not sure. I guess we'll keep it the same because for the most part, been okay this season. I think it's just our goaltending. Yeah, I think it's just our goaltending that's been messing with our penalty kill a little bit. We're going to go ahead up to, I would guess, the trade deadline. But first, we're going to check out the draft class to make sure we stay on top of all the prospects that we could potentially get. So that's done. Now we'll take it up to the trade deadline, and I would guess that will more than likely stop it there. Jesper Boqvist injured again with an MCL sprain. Oh no, Boqvist. March 2nd is going to be his return. That is unfortunate for him. We're currently on January 29th, so that is a month from now that he will be back in. So we're going to, I guess, just get Rooney back in there. Substituting all lines. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He is one of our best prospects. Holy moly, huge trade here. To Calgary, Kreider, Strome, a 3rd, and DiGiuseppe. And to the Rangers, a 2nd, Parsons, a 3rd, and Wolf. Oh my, what a trade. And another trade here. To Calgary, we have Jimmy Howard, a 3rd, and Dion Phaneuf. And to Detroit, a 1st and a 3rd. So we decided to go on a little bit of a losing streak at the start of the month and going back to last month as well. But we're now on a 3-game winning streak, so I can't complain too much. But two of those wins were in the shootout and one against a division rival in Philly. We are currently 27-22 and 6. We sit 2 points behind the 3rd divisional spot. And unfortunately, both wildcards are being taken by the Atlantic Division at the moment. I think our best chance is to catch the Capitals. So we definitely need to make sure that we can win as many as possible here. And Nikita Gusev seems to have slowed down as of recent, at least in terms of goal scoring. I believe he only had 1 goal in that sim that we just saw, because I think he had 30 before, did he not? Yeah, so we need to see what's going on here with this team, because obviously it's not clicking enough to the point where we are consistently winning. So Gusev with 61 points, Hall with 58, Hischier with 44, Subban with 41, Palmieri with 38, Hughes with 35, Bratt with 34, Wood with 27, Vatanen with 23, Zacha with 21, Simmons with 20, Severson with 17, Butcher with 17, Coleman with 14, Zajac with 11, Mueller with 10, Green with 9, Anderson with 7, Carrick with 4, Hayden with 3. Let's see shots. So Gusev takes a lot of shots, 218 so far. Hall with 187, Palmieri with 157, Bratt 145, Subban with 139, Hughes with 115, Simmons with 109, Hischier with 99, Butcher with 89. So I think one of the problems is we don't have enough guys taking shots, enough depth guys taking shots anyway, because all of our guys who take shots are all of our skill guys, you know, Gusev, Hall, Palmieri, Bratt, Subban, Hughes, and then Simmons as well, if you want to count him in the top 6. Nico with 99, and then drops down Coleman with 79. Now, obviously, those guys aren't getting as much ice time, but I would like to see more shots out of them. Vatanen and Severson, especially being offensive-minded defensemen anyway. Yeah, I think part of what's killing us is lack of offensive depth within our bottom 6-4 group and then our bottom 4 defensive pairs. So we have the skill on our top 6 lines for forwards, and then of course on our top 2 for defensemen, but lack of depth I think is hurting us. Faceoffs, Zajac with a 58.9, Nico with a 53.4, Zacha with a 50.5, so that was a good decision putting him in the middle because Coleman did not have the best faceoff percentage at a 46.4, and Hughes at a 47.4. We'll let Hughes grow into that role because obviously he's a natural center. I want him to grow as a center if he's able to. We'll switch into the wing if we have to, which might be the play going down a few years from now, but For right now, I want to keep him at center, see how he grows. Although what we might be able to do is put Hughes on the wing for the power play. That might be a good play. It's Subban with 119, Simmons with 103, Hall with 98, Palmieri with 90, Severson with 87, Zacha with 77, Wood with 69, Coleman with 65, Mueller with 64, Zajac with 48, Hischier with 37, Bratt with 34, Butcher with 30, Gusev with 27, Hughes with 25, Hayden with 21, Green with 15, Carrick with 14, Vatanen with 11, and Anderson with 11. So I think another problem is that we're seeing a lack of physicality on defense. Obviously, Butcher doesn't throw the body too much, but neither apparently does Green, Carrick, or Vatanen. And Andy Green, he's played 48 games already at this point, only 15 hits. As much as I feel like he does deserve to retire a Devil, but he's definitely not helping us out at this point in his career. Sami Vatanen, at least he gets offense, so that makes up for the lack of physicality. And Connor Carrick, he's only played 20 games, so I guess you can validate the 14 hits. So that's another thing we need to address is physicality on defense for sure. I would say we need an upgrade at the second line left wing. And the reason I say that, I mean, obviously Bratt could fill that role, but when we saw before, with Bratt on the top six with Hughes and Palmieri, the chemistry was at a 0, and the same for the third line, right? So that I really want to try to keep that third line of Bratt, Zacha, and Wood together. So if we could get another upgrade at left wing, at the very least for this year, get a rental player, see how he works. And if he works out with the second line, then we keep him. If not, we can just ditch him on July 1st. I think that might be a play. So we're looking for a top 6 left winger on a 1-year deal. And then maybe we can move Simmons down to the fourth line, because I believe we have the cap space for, at least for this year, to have someone like Simmons on the fourth line, even though he's making $5 million a year. Yeah, that should work. And especially because Green's coming off the books this year and he's making $5 million as well. Yeah, he's making $5 million. So that's another $5 million coming off the books this year. Yeah, we should be fine. We should be fine for that. And now, obviously, goaltending is a problem, but I'm not too sure who's going to take Schneider's $6 million for 3 years. And then, as far as Blackwood goes, he's growing, right? I mean, he's close to becoming that starting role. He just needs to grow a couple more overall points and he'll be a starter, for sure. But what to do about Schneider? I mean, we could retain some of his salary, but who do we replace him with, So I think that's obviously another area of concern is goaltending. Not only for the NHL squad, but for the AHL. And I'm definitely going to end off the simulation here because we are not in a very good spot at the moment. So before we end it off, we're going to check out the trade block of each team, see what is available. So for the Ducks, Kessler and Gruel are available. For Arizona, Hjalmarsson and Goligoski are available. For the Bruins, Vakanainen, Zaboral. The Sabres, Bogosian, Scandella, Rodriguez. And for the Flames, Kylington. For the Hurricanes, Jordan Stahl is available. Gardner is available as well. Now, we obviously have to make sure that any player that we get fits our scheme. Fits our coach's roster scheme, but still good to see who is available. With Seabrook and Sorella from Colorado, we have Kadri available. Vanek, Wilson, Calvert, Bellemare from Columbus, Michael Stone, and Brandon Dubinsky from Dallas. Not really anyone I'm interested in. From Detroit, no one I'm interested in here either. Bear from Edmonton. From Florida, there's Brett Connolly. LA, no one. Minnesota, Rask, and then Matthew Boldy apparently as well on the trade block. Yeah, that's pretty odd. Montreal, Alzner, not acquiring that contract though. From Nashville, no one. From the Islanders, Lee, Bailey, Aberle, Brassard, Nelson, a lot of options from the Islanders. From the Rangers, Fass, Nemesnikov. From the Senators, Ennis. From the Flyers, Myers, and Cam York is on the block as well. From Pittsburgh, Gabranson. From the Sharks, Wah. From the Blues, you have Steen and Kyrou and Costin. From the Lightning, bunch of prospects. From the Maple Leafs, you have Janssen and Timashov. And from the Canucks, you have Edler, Myers, Tanev, Ben, Lindbergh, Fantenberg, and Schaller. From the Golden Knights, you have Reeves. From the Capitals, you have Hagelin. Jets, you have Perreault and Niku. And back to Anaheim. So I'll end this off here. Let me know, who should we acquire, if anybody? What should we do to try to make the playoffs here in year number 1? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.